What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Jake Shavink here, and real quick before we dive into this video, just want to remind you guys again, with being so close to the draft now, live show, first 2 days of the draft, myself and my buddy Nate, we will be on YouTube and Twitter live, talking all things draft. We'll take your questions. We'll talk about every prospect, every selection. It'll be a lot of fun to hang out with y'all guests as well. So be on the lookout for that. Should be a lot of fun. We're starting at, I believe, 6:45 p.m. Central on Thursday and then 6 p.m. Central on Friday. Should be a blast. Hope you guys enjoy that and hope you tune in. So, obviously, we're here to talk about the tackle position, really, and maybe offensive line in general. Not as much center because we already did a previous video on that. It'll be up there somewhere. But the tackle class is very, very good this year in the 2021 NFL Draft. It's hard to imagine the Packers leave this draft without a tackle. Now, I really wanted to do and kind of set this video up where we can talk about the thresholds and what players meet it. Truthfully, Goody hasn't taken many offensive linemen yet other than last year, and there weren't a lot of trends from last year either, other than Runyon being able to play tackle. Obviously, he's moved inside, but he played tackle and has the experience there. So that I kind of took that into account when talking about these 8 offensive linemen that we are going to talk about today. So we're going to dive in, just talk about each of them really, and their strengths and weaknesses, and really maybe at the end I'll kind of give my 2 cents of where I think Green Bay actually goes as far as tackle in this draft. So yeah, let's dive right in. And really, like I said, the thresholds, the biggest thing, there's just really not anything other than obviously being a good athlete for the most part. So we're going to dive in, we're going to look at that. 8 offensive linemen. Here we go. So, to start off, Sam Cosby from Texas. I think he's the favorite at 29 if the Packers go tackle at 29. A lot of people, you'll probably be like, yes, Tevin Jenkins is obviously the favorite. I think he would be if he's there. I really struggle to see him being there. I think there are a lot of teams that can use a powerful player like him. But if he is there, I will do a giant film breakdown on him, so don't worry about it. But Sam Cosby, the favorite, 6'5" and 7/8, 314, 99.9 percentile RAS. Really great athlete. Like I said, favorite 29, elite athleticism. I think he's rock solid in pass protection. Almost monotonous watching him in his pass protection reps because it looks similar and he's consistently winning there. I think he has the foot quickness to mirror rushers. I think he's a great mover in space. I don't see any issues really with him working to the second level as much, even though, obviously his forte is more in pass protection. As you see the good flexibility from him as well. I think the real question for him will be the initial quicks and explosions, something I think he can work on for sure at the next level. It really comes down to just firing off the snap, and something that I think Cosme just has to just really work on, but also just really commit to doing. I think because of how good he is, he knows he can get up there a little later and lock people down in pass protection. So I think just working on that against, again, rushers who are going to be extremely quick off the ball in the NFL, that's something he's got to work on. But I think he can be the right tackle for Green Bay off rip. Alex Leatherwood, intriguing to say the least. And maybe I should talk about where all of these guys and where I'd be comfortable and where the Packers might be comfortable. I think there's like a really slight chance that they're comfortable with Leatherwood being the pick at 29. I only say that because he has the experience at tackle. He's got the guard tackle versatility. He's got the requisite length. He's a good athlete, obviously, at 96th percentile, so probably I should say elite. But I think he plays with good strength and leverage at the point of attack. He's a guy who has the initial quicks and movement. I think his skills fit Green Bay's scheme pretty well in terms of what Green Bay is going to want to do in the run game, especially. And I think he anchors well against power rushers. I think just him being more consistent with his hand placement, and he gets a little bit of flat feet and complacency against blocks. I would like to see him finish more in his reps, but overall, it's still a very solid player that I think people have been talking down for the past couple months. Maybe it's just because they want these, more elite, I should say, pass protectors at the position, where I think Leatherwood's more well-rounded and could use some work in pass protection. But ultimately, I said, like, very, very outside. I think less than 2% that he's a pick at 29. I think he's definitely in play if he's available at 62, though. So again, Leatherwood, I still think a solid player in this class. Dylan Raidens is the small school guy that I think a lot of people love for the Packers. 6'5" and 6'8", 301 pounds. Again, a small school darling in the fact that I think he's very explosive and he's quick. I think he's got the movement skills. You see him do a lot of damage in space, especially down the field. And he gets after it in the run game. And I think he has a pretty strong anchor. And I think he's overall solid, should say good, adequate in hand placement ability. I think the one question is I struggle with his mirror match abilities. I don't know if he's going to be able to recover with quickness at the moment. And I think you're banking a lot on improvement with him. The one thing I will say is, as average to below average as the tape looked in pass protection, in both 19 and 20, obviously only played one game in 2020. Would have liked to see a full season out of him, but I think the biggest thing with him is you look at what he did in Mobile, what he did at guard, what he did at tackle, and you're hoping that that was the launching point for him to become a good pro. And that's something that we see a lot of people do in the Senior Bowl. They have that as their launching point, and hopefully Raiden's, because we never root against prospects. I think you hope for Raiden's in his development that that's the launching point for him, what he did in Mobile with his strength, with how well he was balanced, he was measured. His really good knee bend at the Senior Bowl. So I think that's where he would be in play. Part of me just hopes it's not 29 and hopes it's maybe 62, but we'll see. I struggle with where Raiden's is going to go in this draft because of where draft Twitter has him and where others have him. So we'll see. Liam Eichenberg, I think, is an outside shot as well at 29 from Notre Dame, 6'6", 306. Again, he's just rock solid. This guy's just completely rock solid, can play right tackle right away. He's got that two-hand punch and pass protection that really gets defenders off balance initially. He's got the play strength in the run game. He'll move people off. He'll turn defenders outside. Again, I think for him, it is just making sure he's not predictable. And if he's not predictable, he's going to be more successful. I think he needs to vary his hand strikes and punches, because if he continually does what he has been doing, there will be rushers who recover well against him and will see what he's doing coming and have a plan of attack to continually beat him. So that's my worry with him, is he cannot be so dependent on one thing. He needs to be more varied. He needs to vary it up for sure. And adjustments to play speed, I think, is interesting, and obviously length questions with his arm length. But overall, I think a guy who maybe a little bit of a reach at 29, but I think you'd be pretty happy with at 62 if you're the Packers. Another small school guy who I think actually makes a lot more sense than Raiden's potentially, Spencer Brown. The only thing with him, and we'll get to it, he's 6'8", 311. Former tight end. He's got the movement skills, obviously, because he was a former tight end. The lateral quickness and pass protection. I think you see his hand placement improving, his play strength, his knee bend, all of that you saw in Mobile, I think, as well, where he just continuously improved throughout the week. And, I think his struggle will be getting low enough at 6'8" to maintain and gain leverage against defenders. So that's going to be the one thing for him. If he can get to that point, I think he will be a solid pro. And if you guys missed it, and I'll put it above the will the Packers surprise us at 29, I actually put him in here as a potential surprise. There are rumors potentially of him going in round 1. So we'll see. But again, another really solid player. Brendan Hymus. And yeah, it is Hymus. From Nebraska, 6'5", 298. Another guy with tackle guard versatility. He's got good punch at the point of attack. He can work to the second level. I think you see him look for work to cut back on guys who may be pursuing from the backside. He has the recovery, quickness, and strength for the most part, and I think he synchronizes his feet and hands very well. I think for him, it's just sustaining blocks on the outside. That's the one concern in both the run game and in pass protection. Just a little inconsistent. And so that's something where maybe he moves inside. And his length could force him inside as well. But again, the Packers, when they look at guards, they value tackle experience. So maybe Hymus is in that category for Green Bay. This is obviously a day 3 player still, but with starter potential, probably at guard and a little bit of an outside shot at tackle, but I still think somebody the Packers will have on their board. Brady Christensen from BYU, 24 years old, and I put age at the bottom obviously for a reason. I think it's somebody that Green Bay may not have on their board, but somebody I really wanted to highlight in this tackle class. Honestly, at 6'5", 302, he's just the wide zone scheme fit, and he may not be a tackle because of his length, his mirroring questions, and he sometimes inside moves beat him, but he can probably play all 5 positions. He gets after it in the run game. He's a good finisher. He's got the leg drive. He can reach block. He can get to the second level. He can combo block. He does everything well. He gets to his spot, knows his assignment. So, again, I think he's quick in his pass sets as well. Again, it's just going to be the age concerns and potentially, if you're moving him inside, another guy who just may be better in that area, but I think somebody the Packers on day 2 could really look at unless they're really turned away by age and where he's at there. So, definitely a guy I wanted to highlight. Lastly, Deontay Smith from East Carolina, 6'5", 305. Just somebody who's also just has that rare versatility. I still think his best position is tackle, mirror match skills, and pass protection. Another guy who's, got those effortless movement skills. Shocker in this class, I know. I think his initial strike is very good, and he obviously possesses that elite length to play tackle, and I think he can finish in the run game. He gets out in front. He likes to lead in that area. Again, it's just going to be with these bigger, stronger guys on the outside that are going to give him issues. I think the bull rush gets him off balance. He's going to have to continually work on dropping anchor. And I think he needs to rely on his length more. I think he leans a little bit and struggles a little bit with the balance. But again, another guy to rock solid Senior Bowl week who I think the Packers could potentially target in the later rounds. So yeah, the tackle class, I still think Green Bay probably comes away with one and tackle for sure. And then they maybe look at a guy who's got more versatility, like a couple that we mentioned, Smith, Leatherwood, Christensen, Hymas. Maybe one of those guys becomes the guy there. Obviously, a couple other guys I would maybe throw in the ring for later. Tommy Doyle from Miami of Ohio. And I also think Jalen Moore had a really good week down in Mobile. He surprised me in a good way from Western Michigan. So I think 2 guys maybe off the radar to look at as well. But again, I think Tevin Jenkins, if he's there, he's potentially the pick. Cosby, potentially the pick. It's just 21 years old is usually where the Packers go in the first round, at least recently in the past almost decade or so now. So that's just something to monitor for a lot of these guys, especially Cosby, who would maybe break that trend a little bit. But again, good athlete. So we'll see what the Packers go at tackle. Maybe drop in the comments what you think the Packers will do at tackle. And as always, drop a like if you enjoyed this little video. Got a few more coming out before the draft, so be on the lookout for that. And subscribe if you're new. A lot more content coming after the draft, obviously Packers-wise, but of course we're going to move into a little bit more of branching out to the rest of the NFL. So hope you guys are still stick around for that as well, Packers fans. But appreciate you guys. Once again, live show. Tune into that. Promise it'll be a good time. We'll have a lot of fun. I will see you guys very soon. Next video. Farewell.